moved on with selecting a couple of sites. So originally, what I had provided was two sites to you. And if we look here, it was this little green patch right next to these apartment complexes, and then this parking lot. So both of these areas happen to be devoid of trees. Um, I'm going to make the decision that I would like something with some trees because I know that trees cast shadow, so I'm probably going to get bigger variability between the grassy area and a treed area, or the parking lot and a treed area, than perhaps the parking lot and the grass area. So I'm going to make that choice, is to find a location maybe closer to some trees. And then I will choose either the grassy area or the parking lot area. But certainly if you live in an environment where there are not a lot of trees beside you or in walking distance from you, two very different surface structure areas can work as well. So a parking lot or a grassed area, maybe somewhere that there's a lot of concrete. All those things are going to suffice, because as you should have read by now or are going to read, the surface of the Earth has a number of different surface characteristics that are defined by something called albedo. And albedo is the amount of reflection that feature has. And the amount of reflection then is going to determine how much energy is absorbed and then re-radiated, and it's going to re-radiate, that got really hard to say, as heat, or how much is reflected, which then doesn't get absorbed and therefore does not then re-radiate as heat. All right, so we know that dark surfaces like this area right here is going to then absorb a lot of energy and then re-radiate high volumes of heat. We've all worn black on a hot day, and then a light color on a hot day, and those individuals wearing the light color are going to be more comfortable, right? So this is the basic function of albedo. So we know that the heat index in this area is going to be much, much higher than this light colored roof right here. So if you've got no trees or no sort of shelter where there's some shade available to you, by all means look for an area that has a surface characteristic that may provide you with high contrast. All right, so those are some options for you. All right, how do we go about making this selection? So first of all, you've got to choose where you are going to be able to walk every day. So you can do that by coming up to the magnifying glass here. You can type in your hometown or where you happen to be living, right down to the street address, and it'll zoom there. And then from there, I want you to sort of take a visual look, cast what we call a geographic eye onto the landscape, and start figuring out, where can I walk that is public, that will allow me to stand for a few minutes at a time and take the readings that I need to take. All right, so you're looking for public space. From that public space, then look for areas that are going to give you some high contrast, which are in walking distance from each other. Again, a quarter mile or more apart is what we're looking for. So I think what I'm going to do, just for ease of locating, is I'm going to definitely choose this parking lot right here. And then maybe what I'll do is I will choose this little space right in here. It's surrounded by some trees. So there may be enough shadow over the course of a day that the trees in that area are going to then create some shelter and maybe diminish the heat index at that location. So we need to then go up to these three little lines, and we are going to create a new project. So we're going to then select projects. From projects, you're going to hit new project, and you're going to create a project in Google Drive. Most of us, I am assuming, have a Gmail account. If you have a Gmail account, you have a Google Drive, all right, that they automatically link together. If you do not have a Gmail account, and I'm not asking you to develop one, let me know and I'll work something out for you, all right? So you're going to do that. From there, you're going to title your project, whatever works for you. You're not going to hand this in to me, but you're going to title a project. I'm just going to call this 1503L Weather, and then 2021, because that's the year that we're doing this weather lab. If you want to add a description to it, you can. All right. Now that we've got that established, you're going to mark the 2 locations that you're going to sample daily at. All right, and you're going to use that with new feature. Should open up. There we go. And you're going to hit add a place mark, and then with add a place mark, you're just going to find your location of interest, and you're going to delineate it with a click. So you're going to get this little pin, and then we're going to call this whatever you best choose to call it. I'm going to call it parking lot, and then save that. And I said that I was going to choose this little square right here, so I'm going to choose a new feature again, add place mark, select that location, and I am going to call it treed area, and then hit save. And that's all you need to do. All right, that's the hardest part of Google Earth's assignment to date, is getting those things established. I want you to then measure the distance between these 2 locations, whatever locations you happen to choose. You're going to have the choice of whether you want to do it in feet or in kilometers. I'm going to choose kilometers. And just like you did for the baseball assignment, hang on, it's moving on me. We measure that, delineate that. Once that is done for you, I am at half a kilometer. How about that? Half a kilometer distance between these 2 areas. So definitely within just over a quarter of a mile from each site. I'm going to take a screenshot, and I'm going to include that screenshot in the homework. All right, so from this, every day you're going to go to your site 1. In this case, it's going to be, for me, my parking lot, and I will take the samples that I need to take, which is going to be temperature and then a visual assessment of what the precipitation is going to be like. Then I will go to the treed area and do the same thing. Take a measurement of the temperature and a visual assessment of the precipitation. I'm going to do this every day at around the same time, and because this is scientific, that same time parameter is important. Give yourself ideally, science wants you to do it at the exact same time every day, and I know that's not always possible. So try to get there within an hour of when you would want to do it every day. And the other thing that you're going to do is you're going to do it in the same order that you are always going to do it. So if you always do site A first, in my case the parking lot, always do parking lot first, and then always do treed area second. And that is it. Once you have established that and input all of the data into the spreadsheet that I've given you, or the template that I've given you, then you are good to go. You'll follow the rest of the assignment with that. Out of this, the other thing that I need you to also recognize is actually defining and delineating the characteristics of this location. So that first little vignette that I gave you, we talked about the microsite. And then now we need to talk about the larger areas surrounding it. So the parking lot looks like it's surrounded by an industrial area that butts up against a neighborhood of some sort. It's got very few trees surrounding it. The treed area is definitely in a low density neighborhood. It's got some industrial to the south, but definitely it's not amongst industrial. And the tree cover is much heavier than it is to the community neighborhood to the north. All right, so those are some of the ways I would describe it. This is very similar to the physical descriptive characteristics that I asked you to do when looking at the ballpark. When you zoomed into the ballpark, what could you see? and you described it. And then when you zoomed out and you saw the greater surface area, what could you see? So I'm asking you to do the same thing here, because it's those site characteristics that are going to be influential on what the temperature is going to be at those two areas. All right, I think you should be able to follow the rest of the instructions, but as always, if you are unclear on what I'm asking you to do, or if I've made a mistake, like accidentally giving you the same instructions twice as I did with the last homework assignment, please reach out and let me know. All right, I am fallible just like every other human on the planet, and sometimes I miss some of the things that I should have seen when I was proofreading. I am dyslexic, so that's easy for me to do. All right, have a gorgeous week, even though it's going to be rainy. So for those of you who like rain, hooray. For those of us who prefer sun, well, I guess we'll have another week. Thanks. Stay well. Talk to you soon.